So the last video I'm going to make, I just literally sat out here and just made all these different videos. And one of the guys that I follow on YouTube, he keeps on bringing up. That was a bumblebee that just landed on my leg. He keeps on bringing up something called coping versus thriving. You know, most people, let me just move this back a little bit. Most people bring up coping versus thriving, or not most people, but he brings up coping versus thriving. And he says, are you coping with life or are you thriving with life? Are you doing what you want or are you accepting everything that comes into your life? Are you accepting that there's a recession and that's why you feel that you should decrease your price, you should not make more sales calls, that you should not innovate or make more products? Are you saying because you're short you shouldn't try out for a team, because someone told you you're stupid you shouldn't be successful in school, or because you lived lower middle class that you should not be wealthy? Excuse me, whatever your dreams are, like it's just insane. I walk around, I live in New York City, I'm obviously not here now, I'm at my parents' house, just visiting for the weekend, saying hi to the two people that put me on planet Earth. And I'm literally just thinking in my mind, walking around New York City, everyone is just coping. They're coping through life. They wake up, they turn off the box that woke them up, which is their cell phone, and then they turn to another, say, a cereal box, and then they get into a car which is shaped like a box, then they get into a cubicle, then they go into an office meeting which is a rectangle, and then they go into a restaurant that sells them crappy food which is a square, and then they come home, and as Tony Robbins said, this is all Tony Robbins, he says they literally go to a cylinder, which is beer, and they're just coping through life. And the reason I'm just so passionate about this one situation is because you can see it on faces. You can see that there's despair. And I talked to my dad and he's like, yeah, he's like, I don't know about the future of you. I'm like, I'm bullish of the future, not of me, but of the world and society. And the reason that you may feel that way is because you can easily spread bad news. You could also spread good news. But the thing is, we are addicted to bad news because that's what our chemicals in our body respond to. Our body wants to know what's wrong. Our body wants to know, can we survive this? ISIS, our government, elections, bad grades, business, recessions, high price, taxes, our neighbor, all these things just going through your mind. And you're like, what do you resort to? Do you resort to negativity or do you resort to positivity? If you resort to positivity, after a while, you'll start thriving. It took me 3 years to finally ditch the bullshit story that I was telling in my mind, which is where I grew up, I didn't have wealthy friends, I was looking at all these things. Look at old pictures of me. I wasn't in shape, I wasn't good looking, I wasn't smart, I didn't like learning, I didn't like hearing from people, I hated authority, I had bad grades, it's like you can easily turn everything around. And now I'm thriving. Thriving doesn't have to be with money or your health or you could just be thriving with happiness or joy. My mom, I just will never forget this story. We were driving down, I was visiting her like I am this weekend, and we were driving down the street and someone's waving her down, the trash man's waving her down, and my mom's like, okay, fine, yeah, what's up? Rolls down the window, she goes, the guy goes, Mrs. Bodenston, you don't recognize me? And she's like, no, and he goes, hey, it's Chris from, you used to teach me. Sorry, there was an ant crawling on my foot. You used to teach me. She goes, oh my God, yes, Chris Smith from Herrick's. Holy cow, how are you doing? He goes, I'm great. I love it. What a beautiful day. This is incredible. The guy was picking up trash and putting it into a trash can. It's what you think about life. It's the situation. This guy is like, I'm getting the chills thinking about it. It's not the situation you're in. You had to put everything into perspective. Go to another country, travel. Don't just look at the news. Don't just accept the news. I don't even look at the news. I haven't had a TV in 2011. I'm not tooting myself like a saint or anything else. I'm cutting off what normal coping characteristics, activity people would do. They would just sit in front of the TV or social media and just suck it in. Look at all the news on Facebook. The 3 stories that they have, always negative. Bomb, killing, election, death, divorce, bankruptcy, because that's what people click on. Facebook is not news. CNN is not news. Fox is not news. It's a business to make money. It's not news. It's a business to make money. What sells is not the person. It's not that society is safer. It's not that we're living longer. It's not that technology is making our life easier. It's not that we're in general just bringing pricing down on pretty much everything. Clothing, food, things like that. We're not bringing that up because that's not what people click on. That's not what people comment on. That's not what people share. So are you coping? Which is things in your life being, listen, we all go through death. We all go through failures and fears and recessions and bad times and cursing and negative people. We go through all of that. We go through it. But when that happens, do you choose to accept the situation? Or do you choose to say, I accept and I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna accept and thrive. I didn't make the basketball team. I didn't make my gym team, my theater. I didn't make the job interview. I didn't get my raise. The company told me that I'm laid off. My wife is leaving. My kids are into drugs. I'm not saying I'm not saying the situation. It's how you respond to it. You say, that's why a leader is a leader. A leader literally looks at the situation. They say, okay, this is it. What are we gonna do? Solution oriented. That's the only way you should be. Thriving is what is working in my life and what is not working in my life. Am I waking up early enough? Are my friends good enough? Am I healthy enough? Am I going to the gym enough? What am I eating? What am I choosing to read? What am I choosing to watch? By watching this video, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but watching this video is way better than anything else that likely other people are watching on YouTube. They're watching cat videos, they're watching entertainment, they're watching Casey Neistat. Casey Neistat, great guy, amazing guy. He's in New York City. I see him. It's nothing about Casey, but I watch him too. But I use it, and he's the only entertainment that I get. It's a nice, and I put him at 2x the speed, so his 8-minute video is 4 minutes, and that's it. That's the only thing. Everything else is educational. It's Tony Robbins, it's Brian Tracy, it's Gary Vaynerchuk, it's these guys, Brian Johnson, it's all these guys who are putting out content to make my life better. And I'll just tell you this last thing before I sign off. The reason that people don't do this, the only reason they don't do this is because they have to question themselves. They have to question what they're doing. They have to question who they're hanging out with. They have to question the decisions that they have made in their life, and their ego, and I'm not talking about the definition of ego, but ego in the philosophical sense, the ego with a capital E is saying ego doesn't like to be questioned. The ego just, it says we're the best, or we're better, or comparing, or is this good, is this bad, what do they think of me? Should I get married, should I not get married? You know, and those are some really weak ego questions, but your ego is driving your life. And I'm gonna make a video series about it because I just read 2 incredible books. One of them by Eckhart Tolle called A Beautiful World, A Beautiful New World. I get on my Kindle, so it's not like I turn over the cover and see the cover every time. And the other one is Elite Minds. And for whatever reason, they don't have it on paperback. Is like $30 and they don't have it on Kindle anymore. I have no idea. Maybe they're putting out a new version, but whatever. Anyway, it's starting to rain right now, and that's a perfect example. It's like my parents, they went to my cousin's birthday party outside, and one of the biggest things was, is it gonna rain out? My parents, knowing my parents, they're gonna say, this is beautiful, this is amazing. It's you know, God saying, or whatever, you know, you don't have to believe in God, but it's the clouds giving the grass food and nutrients to give us green, you know, so we don't have to look at brown, so we don't have to look at houses, you know, or chimneys or anything else. Look at all this green. You know, the only way you have this is when it rains. If it didn't rain, you know, it's how you deal with situations. This is a perfect example. Are you coping or are you thriving? All right? So think about that. Question yourself. Question the decisions, the choices that you make. Question everything. All right? Have an awesome day. Subscribe to the videos. Now it's really starting to come down. I love it. I love it. I love it. You know? It's like, what are you doing in life? That's really questions you should be thinking. You know, What am I doing? Be present. Don't be worried. Live it. Volunteer at a nursing home and talk about the number one thing that they talk about: regret. Regret not doing. It's never, I regret starting the business. It was, I regret not starting the business. Approaching that pretty girl, asking that guy out, going to the gym more, eating healthier, moving more, going outside, sitting in the rain. You know, it's like, I love it. Have an awesome day. Subscribe to the videos. Ask me any questions. It's moving the channel along. And I'll talk to you guys soon.